sort of a bit of a trial campaign that got the Bailey's website going absolutely feral with North of Auckland and Northland product over that whole Christmas period, which was awesome. So Neil has very generously, Neil and I have been talking about cunning ways to take over the digital landscape for real estate in the north, and as part of that discussion, Neil has offered the services of Mel Houle, whom I'm about to introduce, offered Mel's services to come along and have a chat to us. So I thought there was an opportunity that we certainly can't miss. So we do have some of the team in the far north who will be watching this on video in the next couple of days, but great to have you all here and working our way through it. So Mel is a digital specialist. She's got an agency in Sydney. So hence the accent, but an agency in Sydney specialising in digital, which pretty much is looking just after the real estate industry. Okay, so she's going to talk to us a bit about her experience and some of those key learnings. And I know, as I said, you guys understand digital, which is probably why you're here, but I think when I started at Bailey's 17, 18 years ago, in that marketing manager's role, we were all talking about all digital internet, how it's going to revolutionise the industry. And it's been it's been slow progression, but and I'm not sure if, as they talk about with technology typically has what they call an exponential curve. Now, we see that with just use of technology generally. You've probably seen the stat, there is more computing power in this little device here than took man to the moon for the first time. So it's just, that's the exponential growth of technology and how that happens. And I think my view is that's particularly what we've seen in the last couple of 3 years. Finally, in real estate, that exponential curve, we've been mucking around down here for years and years and years. Finally, we've got to the tipping point, and digital and everything around tech is really starting to have an impact on what we're doing on a daily basis. So I think it's really important that we start the leading edge of that. Funnily enough, Tony Grindle and I went to a conference in Aussie last week. I'm of the opinion that the Aussies are typically 2 to 3 years ahead of us in terms of adoption of tech, and the Americans are 2 to 3 years ahead of the Aussies typically. Sometimes you can, but typically that's so. I sort of look to that direction and say, hey, where are the trends going and what are they doing? Certainly, it's one thing when I've come back and talking to Kirst about it and the others, and just saying this tech thing is just going nuts. I told the Mangawai team yesterday and the Walkworth team this morning, but I think it's 3 to 4 years ago there was about $1 billion worth of investment per annum in what they call prop tech, or technology specifically related to the property industry. That's forecast to be $8 billion globally this year. So there's a whole lot of wealthy people throwing money at building technology to try to disrupt what we're doing. Now, my personal view is it's going to be quite hard to disrupt because real estate is a lot about people face to face. But we've got to get our heads around new technology, and we've got to adapt and take on new technology and use it in our business to get more efficient at what we do and to create better client experiences. So I'll get out of the way so you can actually listen to the expert. But I applaud all of you for being here, guys, because I think it's really important that we are open to change and embrace that and really look to see what we're doing better and what we can do better. Now, Kirsty's taken a register for non-verified training.
2 hours, well done, tick tick.
Tick, tick, tick. Mel also really wants an open session, so if there's some questions as we go through, I know there's probably some different levels of users in the room, but let's make it interactive. Mel, we sincerely want to thank you for coming over. Thank you for taking your time to come to the beautiful winterless north, and it's great to have you here. And Neil also, a big thank you very much for facilitating this. So, team, if we can have a bit of a warm welcome.
Thank you everybody for travelling into this office today. I know you're not all from here, and hello to everybody who's watching from up the coast as well. So I'm not going to tell you much about me, because where do you think you could get information about me and what I do? Where would be the best place? Facebook. So there's 2 things that we're going to do first off. One is get you eating the chocolate to get you awake. So that was a trick. And I'm jealous that you sat here now because I was about to sweep along and eat all the chocolate myself. But I want to do an exercise to get us thinking naturally about how people find us. So without telling you, I purposely asked not too much information to be said about me. So I would like you to pull out your mobile phones, your smartphones. This is a session where you're allowed to have your mobile. So I hear that you're usually told not to bring them or to put them on.
Make sure you're on silent.
All right, now we need to Google me. So see what you can find. Or you can Facebook me, or you can LinkedIn me. But yeah, find a search engine and check me out. And tell me, what do you find? So I want to hear you shouting out what you see, first things that you see.
You're Australian.
I'm Australian.
Social media marketing in Sydney.
Am I Australian though?
No.
Am I really
sound
Australian?
like-
Wait.
I've subscribed to your newsletter. I got a pop-up.
Yay! Thank you. I'm
20
signed
years
by
to
Australia.
Digital guru.
That's what, yeah, self-promotion there.
Real estate, social media marketing.
So, what websites or where do I pop up? Like, in order of links?
Yours is your own website saying we specialise in digital content.
Yeah,
social
oh,
media.
excellent. It's good to have your own website turn up first.
Who?
And then what's coming up?
You like writing in TikToks?
Elite agent.
I do. I was just mentioning that to Neil actually. I'm very good at taking the wing of or the hubcap of the tuk-tuk. So yeah, I drove across India with my husband before he was my husband. He's the Hool, so I've totally stolen the name. And for his family, I'm the only one that's like done, I've taken it to the web. So anything else that you can say about me? Any dark past?
I was going to say, probably about a week ago, a few days ago, I saw your thing, how to sell real estate in a down to market.
Hey!
I found about a week ago.
Very good,
A few days
thank
ago.
you. That's good. So you saw me, did you click it or did you
I
just
don't
see
remember
me
whether it was on
pass?
the news, like stuff, or the New Zealand Herald, but I went on.
Yes, that's pretty good.
153 photos on this.
Oh gosh, I could be on there for a long time. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Right, so what's interesting is so LinkedIn came up because you're doing a people, like you're using my name. So LinkedIn is well indexed for people's names. Who's on LinkedIn? Who has a profile? Very good. Oh, pretty much most of you. Okay, so now. Right, so now enough about me. Or do you want me to say a little bit more about what I do? You happy? Learn enough? Right, now I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I would like you to check out each other. And tell the other person what you find.
Oh, you're going to Google it.
Marina, I should not be finding you on this website. they suggest that if it's an invitation, only if it's
Found anything over here? Nothing. You're so clean cut. Look, we're angels. She asked me to use the very good. Okay, so has anybody found anything that they didn't expect to find online about themselves? Oh yes, what did you find, sir?
Being on some news article, so the launch party of one group.
Oh, okay. So you were.
You've gone viral.
No, you've gone viral.
Letitia's gone viral. That's awesome.
There's we've got some angels over here, came up with their halos in a picture. We've got,
No, we've got
I'm saying they're all too clean cut. There's nothing interesting, no dirt to dish on you. We had somebody at the back mentioned that they needed to update their LinkedIn profile. So this is a good exercise in knowing what you need to update. Someone else was in the New Zealand Herald for driving cars, racing cars. So you came up with the first two links, and then there was some other people with the same name.
Yeah, I died in 1945.
Oh, you died in 1945.
Yeah.
Congratulations on resurrection.
I was going to say, I found no victory for you.
Oh, you're a monster. Oh, yeah, now we've got something interesting to work with. Well, apparently I was the lady of the night. If you spell my name incorrectly, I'm not going to tell you how to spell it. So I discovered that in one of these sessions. Somebody earlier said I was a netball player. So I was like, oh, I wish. I'm not quite tall enough. Okay, so.
We can put our phones away now, can't we, Mel?
Oh, you can, yes.
Yeah.
And you don't,
Please, manners, everyone.
it's not me. It wasn't me. Okay, so, oops, wrong way. So we're going to try and cover 8 different areas, so I'll try and move relatively quickly. I do like interactive sessions, keeps us all awake, so please ask me any questions as we go, and I'll try my best to answer it. And no question is a silly question, so I've heard them all before, and it's very confusing, the internet and social. So yeah, I won't read them all out, but that's what we're going to zip through. Okay, so I wanted to start, so we will dive into social media, but I wanted to start a step back and talk about digital marketing, because social media, I always say it's just like the facade of the house. It's the bit that everybody sees, so that's the bit that everybody, talks about or feels that they need to be on. But there's a whole ecosystem, and there's a lot of facets to digital marketing, so let's just have a recap. Traditionally, in real estate, and I've been in real estate for 16 years, I think. I've been in digital for 21 years. So traditionally, in real estate, we're pretty good at outbound. So we've been good at doing traditional marketing, which is print and newspapers, brochures, DL cards, window signage, and we're good at following people up and talking to people on a one-to-one basis. Now that is what's called outbound marketing, and that's traditional, and it can be interrupted, because when you ring somebody or you knock on somebody's door, you don't know whether now's the right time for them. It's the right time for you to talk to them, but you don't know where they are, what they're doing, and whether they want to be interrupted. Inbound, on the other hand, on the other side of the fence, is where you put information out there in the ether, and that's where Facebook and Google help you do that, and other social media sites, and then you attract people to your brand. So who's heard the term attraction agent? A couple of people. Who follows Tom Panos or has heard of Tom Panos? A few more people. So I believe he coined that phrase, so I'm just stealing it from him, but he's pretty active, and you find him online digitally, like this lady found me. So that's what an attraction agent is you put information out there and you come across as somebody that they need to invite in to their lounge room. So digital marketing is like the yin and yang to traditional marketing. So it's all about attracting people to you. So here's just to recap, where we've come from. So there was back in the last century, there was a time and place where somebody would willingly open a door and be pleased to see you. This lady here, she's bought several vacuum cleaners and she's just happy with the company. And this is one of the ladies in my team found this image, and she pointed out that, there was the advent of, people, housewives, traditionally, you were stuck at home and you didn't have the opportunity to interact with loads of people. And then the phone came along. Who can add a caption to what she's saying? What do you think she's saying?
Sing more talk.
So then we had, then the households were connected. So we had the phone line, and that was a whole phenomenon. And, and we could gossip, basically. And clearly shocks about something there. But then this is the day and age that we live in now, right? Whose household looks like this? Or whose children, grandchildren are stuck on the device? Yes. Yes, it's down like this. We're going to walk around with bad necks, in a couple of decades. So that's what we're faced with. So we're all connected. I say it's like we're plugged into the matrix. We're all, can be very easily connected together. So that's where the eyeballs are. Everything, so it's all about screen time and being seen, where people are spending most of their time. So, how many people do you think you have in your suburb? How many households are there, and how many people in those households? One person knows. You should know, surely. Real estate.
In the village I'm working on
300 households, and then so maybe 600 people on average, roughly, above or below. Okay, and that's in one village, one suburb. And then do you service other?
Yeah, around the area.
Okay. So typically clients that I work with, there'll be 7 suburbs is like the main one, and then once you count up, it obviously depends on where you are, but there'll be a number between 5 and 7 that are adjoining. So if we start with that geographical picture, it's quite hard in any given, say, week or month to get in front of all 300 households to stay relevant. If you're knocking on doors or you're ringing people, and then you don't know who, it's kind of like fishing and, not knowing who's going to bite. So, where do you start? You start at that end of the street. By the time you get to this end, maybe the person that's thinking of selling is at that end, but you don't know, so you've got to go methodically. Whereas digital is about, casting the net wide, and then letting tools like Facebook find the people that are thinking of selling based on their behaviour and what they're doing. So Facebook uses data and knows, or has a pretty good idea who's thinking about what, based on what they've looked at, based on what they've clicked on and interacted with. So you can place ads to promote yourself and your properties and you as agents to people through Facebook. You can promote your brand through Google, there's LinkedIn, other places. But basically you're trying to reach all the people in your neighbourhood, and you're trying to be found by people that don't yet know you. So you didn't know me, haven't met me in person today, but yes, at least one of you has seen my content, has seen my ads, because I advertise and I target you guys, and I'm not targeting the whole of New Zealand, I'm targeting people that work in the property industry and people specifically that are real estate agents or principals of agencies. So Facebook helps me do that, as does the other digital tools. So, in order to give you something to see me, I need to come up with content, and then I need to, you know, have something worth saying for you to be interested in following me. So that's where blogs and keywords and social publishing comes into play. So keywords is search terms in Google. So are you all familiar with when I say search terms or keywords and phrases? And search engine optimization, that just means in Google we kind of think of Google as the oracle, and then we ask it questions. And when we're in Google, we're in search mode, we're in research mode, whereas when we're in social media places like Facebook, we're more voyeuristic and more, you know, interacting with friends and family, and then things will pop up that maybe we didn't have a computer. So we want to get those people from our wide net across to our page in Facebook or our website, depending on, like, so there's a funnel. So you guys are used to sales funnels. You know, you've got to see people or talk to them this many times and then bring them along on the journey, and then ultimately you get them to mess with you and you convert them, and then you've got a new client. So it's the same idea. So where I focus all my efforts is, and where BuddyBid focuses its efforts, is here. So I help you guys, and my clients and my team help find you leads. So we're very much on the brand side and content and helping you have something to say. And then BuddyBid is very much on the property, helping you find buyers for your clients or renters. So it's all about getting people to where you want them to interact with you, and then that's where your skills come into play. And then they become customers, then they become promoters, and that will be people that, you know, recommend you to their friends. So if somebody recommends you to a friend, what do you think that person's highly likely to do before they ring you?
Google it.
They're going to check you out online. Do you know what I see because I target, so I advertise, I'm trying to say it in a nice way, I target you guys. So I'm trying to reach you guys in Google too, and I see one of my challenges is to, there's lots of people searching for people's names and then sticking Facebook on the end now. So people know to go to Facebook, but sometimes they go to Google first and then go to Facebook. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So Facebook is definitely, you know, popular, and people know that there's pages and you can find information out about them there. So I don't usually share this information with people that, you know, beyond my clientele, but I wanted to give you some intel into why I'm standing here and why I should, you know, what my qualifications are in being able to tell you what you should do. Because I'm not a real estate agent, right? So how do I know what you guys should be doing? But what I am is I am a business owner, just like you, and I have built my presence up digitally. So I've never made a cold call. I make lots of phone calls, but they're warm calls. So I'm ringing people that have come to my website or sent me a message through social media, and then like they're booking for a chat. So I ring lots of people. But I wanted to show you, these are my stats. So this is from my first year. So I opened my business in July 2016. So I did some sessions like this. I flew around Australia, so I had a lot of direct people coming to my website. That's why it's got a big bar graph. But you can see generally the bar graph is going upwards. And the main colour, I changed systems here, so ignore that one. But the main colour is social media. So social media is how I built my brand and how people found me. So I was on the corporate side, so I've been in the industry for 16 or so years, but I wasn't a brand name. Like, people didn't know who I was unless you were, you know, I went and dealt with head offices and things like that. But generally, you would never have heard of me. So then I built up my name and brought people to my business, and then I have a team that helps them. And that was predominantly thanks to Facebook. So thank you, Facebook. But then over time, Google comes into play. So I say you date Facebook, but you marry Google, because you have a long-term relationship with that one. You have to, it takes time to build up your footprint and your visibility on Google, but you can get instant results on Facebook. You still marry Facebook, but that's just a good way of explaining the two. So this was my first year. You can see again, it's very heavily social media that brought people to my site. And then here in year 2, it started to switch, and it's even bigger now. And that's traffic. So that's search traffic finding me, because I've got more pages and my website's getting bigger and bigger all the time. So from a brand perspective, so not property advertising, I'm here to talk about the bigger picture for you guys. From a brand perspective, you need to be on Facebook and Google, and they're the two big players, technology players in the communications digital space. Does that make sense? So what's interesting is they're very similar. So one's is social, the other one is search. So one's kind of more push information to you, the other one is more, you ask it a question, you pull information. One has Ads Manager, which is where Buddy Big simplifies the process for you, automates it. Google has AdWords, which they've just renamed Google Ads. And then who's used Facebook Live? Is anybody on the Facebook Live? Oh, very good. What did you talk about, or what did you showcase in your Facebook Live? Did you present yourself? What were you talking about to people that were watching?
Just stuff around business.
So giving some advice.
Yeah.
So you can use, Facebook is quite well attuned to doing a quick video, where you can do, like today we've got the phones taking video, and that's about you can do your self-recorded videos, and then when you've got a budget from your clients, you can do the full paid videos. And then they used to go just on Google, but now you can put them into Facebook, you can upload them into LinkedIn. We'll talk about that in a minute. So they're becoming very similar. So Facebook wants to be a media organisation and wants everybody to live their lives through Facebook. Do you have any Chinese clientele in this part? You do? So are you on, so there's WeChat as well. So I haven't got it up here, but I do report on WeChat. There's another agency that specialises that I partner with in Sydney. But so WeChat, interestingly, as I've researched WeChat is very transactional, and in China there's a handful of apps. So that's the one that's the biggest outside of China. It's got the non-resident user base as well. And interesting, there's a lot of features that we see coming into Facebook now that were born in WeChat. So Facebook's not, we're not necessarily the leaders, or the Americans aren't necessarily, the thought leaders. Some of the things like stickers and Messenger, so messaging back and forth, that was done really well with the Chinese. And they also buy everything, so they don't believe WeChat, they buy everything in WeChat as well. So that just gives us a bit of a glimpse of where Mark Zuckerberg is potentially going. So he wants to be, the next media organisation. He wants to be the destination, the place that everybody goes to live their lives. Right, so now talking about digital, I want to talk about you guys now. Sorry. So that exercise of getting you to Google yourselves, or to look at yourselves online to see what you can find, was to basically remind us that we probably don't check our own profile out every day, but there is information out there, and it should be up to date. We want it to be up to date because we don't want it to be a dead end, or we don't want it to be a cul-de-sac. When somebody is checking you out, if they're making a decision based on a referral, then you want them to find you, and then when they click through, because you don't know where they're going to land, right? You don't know which link is going to show highest.
It's very hard to get things off once it's on Google. If it's
Yes.
previous information about the property, it's next to impossible.
Yes, it is, because it gets indexed all around the world. So you've got to be conscious of what goes out there and what, yeah. And then you have to put more to get to. So I get this question quite a lot, relatively quite a lot. So sometimes after these sessions, someone will take me aside and say, I've got some things on, even though I don't want. You know, I was in the paper for this, or I had a dispute with someone. And all I can say is, well, you've got to put more content out there to push that information down. If that's coming up first, then okay, you had a dispute. And so property managers, they have the harder time because you know, they go through the small claims court, whatever. I'm not sure what it's called here, but it's like, what's it called?
Tribunal.
Oh, the trade union. So
Tribunal.
Tribunal. Yes. Oh, yes. Same in Australia. So they have NCAT, QCAT. But the I've actually, like if you Google, if you go to like page 2, I think, like this, I had an issue with a tenant and had to go through a tribunal as well. They didn't want to move out. So yeah, property managers have the hardest time because a lot of the information, you know, when the tenants want to vent, if they're feeling they're hard done by, they will go to the web or they will go to Facebook and leave a bad review. So that's generally, when I'm talking to property managers, that's a challenge for them. So as salespeople, you generally get nice information put out there about you. It's very rare to get something negative. So you want to make sure that obviously your agency page, your profile page on your agency website is up to date. So if you joined 15 years ago and it hasn't been updated, or 5 years ago, you want to make sure that that's updated first and sings all your praises and all your awards. If you have your own website, that needs to be up to date. But then generally there's a lot of rented space out there that doesn't cost anything, where we can put our information. So Trade Me now allows you to have an agent profile, and then you want to make sure everything's up to date on realestate.co.nz, and then you want to make sure that your LinkedIn and your Facebook profile as a minimum in social media are up to date as well. So who feels they've got some updating to do? Yes. It applies to me too. So that was literally the first thing that I did when I set up Paul, was I went through all my rented profiles online and I changed them all from being corporate mail to being, digital mail. And then that's where I worked out that, really where the help was needed was in the social domain, because it's still a very young industry. It's only really, globally, it's only really been commercially used for promoting and marketing yourself for the last 4 to 5 years. Who has a map listing with Google? Who knows that you can have a free listing with Google? Who doesn't have a listing with Google? More. Who's ignoring me? Eating chocolates, there's more around. So you can have a free listing with Google, which puts you on the map. So I've done a search here. Sorry, I apologise. It's Auckland. I haven't done one for up here, but as you can see, so this was just yesterday, I did this search for real estate agent Auckland, and then these 3 brands came up. So good, because you came up in the mix. And then I just added the word best, and look what Google did. It changed this setting here to be 4+. So it's using the ratings because I put the word best. So both Google and Facebook and the other social engines and sites, they're very small.
Oh, Bay's come up number 1.
Yes, you come up. Yeah, as soon as I changed it.
Yeah.
I know, I was like,
Big awkward of it was.
So here you can see, and then once you, so that's what shows up in the search results, because you know Google's trying to be really helpful and answer your question because you're asking the oracle. And then, so I thought that was quite interesting that it then just based on that one word changed it to the rankings. And here you can see, then when you click in, you can see more information. And there's a number of different factors that determine how you like which shows up first. But that shows you how important your referrals and your testimonials can be to being found online. So you don't have to pay anything to have a map pin. All you need is an address. And if you, so it's totally up to you know what you decide as a group you want to do. But you can, in theory, and I do this with lots of clients in Australia, is and I've helped New Zealand people too. You can put your use an address that you have if you serve a suburb but the office is 2 suburbs across, that's not really helping you. But you want to be found by people that are searching for real estate agents in your suburb or in your village. So you can use your home, or then you can use a PO box, but you have to cheat Google a bit and you have to type post office box. And then, but Google will send you a code, so it needs to be an address that can actually send a code, and then you can verify yourself. But that's completely free. So if there's one thing to take away today, the first thing is to decide whether you're going to, be on the map. Put yourself on the map.
Our offices are on the map, just to let you know. We have worked at it.
Yes, sorry, I assume that. And also, if you're advertising, if you have your show, you can go up there as well. That's how you get your rankings up the side. Okay, so that leads on to the next thing that is really important. So who collects testimonials or asks for a review from your clients? So a few of you, yeah. So when would be the best time to ask for a testimonial? And they have to get straight after. Yeah, straight after they've sold, that they've clinched the deal. So as soon as it's exchanged, before settlement, because as we know, things can go a bit awry, things crop up. So yeah, get them while they're ecstatic and happy. And then you can also, I don't know whether you do this, but a great idea is to not only ask the seller for a testimonial, but ask the buyer as well. And then it doubles your number.
We do automatically, a net promoter score survey goes out.
Oh,
So
good, so
every
you've got a
deal, every
system
person.
that you use. Okay, that's great. So then what I recommend is use that as the first port of call, because it's also good for capturing that negative, better to let people vent offline, then that's where those tools are good, than so it captures any negative and you can address it before it then goes public. But then once you've captured a review, ask them to just cut and paste wherever they've got an account. So your clients need to have their own account to make it authentic. So yeah, so the 3 main places. So in Australia there's a website called Rate My Agent, and I've seen a similar one here, but it hasn't got traction yet. So you may get a website like that, or Rate My Agent may come here. But yeah, there's some other industry tools that are coming your way. But really these are the 3 main guides where you need to have testimonials. So then, talking about you from a brand perspective, so the challenge that you have is making yourself sound, more likable, more suited, and sound like you're the best person for the job in selling the home. So you want to make sure that you stand out over and above your competitors. So you can do that both visually. So this is a client of mine, so I've just screenshot all the banners. And you want to be mindful that they're not just checking you out on desktop, but they'll be checking you out on mobile. And across the board, we see 60% of searches generally come from mobile, especially in the real estate industry. So you want to be mindful of what your banners and things look like on the device as well as on the desktop. Then, so you want to look consistent because they're going to be judging you on how you promote yourself and how you market yourself and your own brand. That's going to be a reflection of how you're going to promote their property. That's where branding comes into play in the real estate industry. It's what they want, you know, whose branding and banner do they want attached to their property sale. Then we've got the written word. So what you want to do, this is what I have a team that specialises in this, and so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have written your profiles in the first person. So what I mean by that is it's you saying, talking about yourself as if you're talking. Your website will have information written about you in the third person. So that's as if the principals.
Just a test.
Oh damn, I wasn't quick enough for the chocolates. I thought there was going to be a few, thanks. So yeah, you want to make sure that, so what I see a lot of agents doing is we're all a bit lazy, and so we just cut and paste from our website profile that's been written, and then we just put it everywhere. But the thing is, when people are in social media, they don't talk, you know, in third person as if, you know, somebody else is talking about you. It's very arm's length and impersonal. You're in a really personal space, so you want to come across as if, you know, you want to talk as if it's you, so that when they read other profiles and then they come to yours, they'll go, oh, that's refreshing. This person, yeah, I feel like they were talking to me. So that's how you want to switch the way you write things. And there's different amounts of copy that you can fit in different places. So yeah, visually and also the written word, you want to make sure that there's no dead ends and you're up to date in all the right places. So does that help?
So to be clear on that, are you saying the profile should be written in first person?
Yes.
Because let's say most of us would say Tom is good at this and Tom is good at that, and I think most of us would write it in third person.
Yes.
Oh, just social media.
Just social media, yeah. So
clear.
your website is fine because
Yeah,
it's as if the company
Yeah.
has written about you and they're singing your praises. But when you come to LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere else, then you want to make sure that I'm just giving you a hint that you'll stand out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and there is a style to writing it because you shouldn't say I do this and I do that. And you know, there's a way to sound professional when you start with, you know, having lived in the area, blah blah blah, for this long. I found that, like, so you try not to preface every sentence with an I or a you. So that's all about you. So now we're going to talk about social media marketing. So, there's a key word here, and that is marketing. So, most of us are on social media, and when I work with different agencies, typically in the office, I'll have, you know, there's people of all different generations, and the agents that are in the Gen Y age bracket, they generally want to like hold their social media accounts to their chest and don't want to give access, and they're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Whereas when we hit, you know, when we get to the Gen X and the baby boomers, they're like, yeah, take my password. I don't know what to do with it. Just make me sound good and look good. I'm going to be in the you know, I just want to be in the lounge room listing and selling. So I want to be, you know, talking to people. I don't want to be online. So there is a key difference between what we do on social media in our own lives versus what you need to do on social media to promote yourself as an agent or to promote your properties. So the key word there is social media marketing. Oops, didn't see that. So when I put some of these slides together, it was back in January, and the Olympics were on. So you just had a premonition just then. So which social media site would you put in first place? So if you were putting people on the stand, which social media site do you think is the best? Yes, and I'm able to show you and what's looking to all the way along. It was paying attention. So who would you put in second place?
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Who says LinkedIn? Who says Twitter?
Twitter was